This is my honest reactions to reading a chapter in the Bible for the first time, as always. So let's get into it. Right now we are doing Genesis 38, and I am probably going to mess up this name as usual. Judah and Tamar. Judah? No, it's Judah. I think so. All right, let's figure out here. Judah and Tamar. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Abdullam. Oh man, I really have trouble with these names. All right, let me start that one over. Let me see. Adullam. Okay, so Judah and Tamar, 38. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. All right. So when he slept with her, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and he named the boy E-R. Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Onan. And when she gave birth to a third son, she named him Shelah. At the time of Shelah's birth, they were living in Kezib. All right, so we've got three sons here named Onan, and Shelah, and they're living in Kezib. About this time, Judah. So this is all about Judah. But we don't actually know the name of her. So this doesn't say that. It just says Judah and Tamar. So this time, Judah left home and moved to Abdullah. He stayed with a man named Hira, and there he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua. But what's her name? How come we don't know what her name is? Do we know that? Do we not? All right, we're going to have to move on here. So it is a little bit odd, though, that we are told that Judah marries a woman, but we don't know what her name is. So, okay, I'm going to try and keep that one in mind. In the course of time, Judah arranged for his firstborn son, to marry a young woman named Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight. So the Lord took his life. Oh, okay, but why? Why would we do that? All right, let's finish this little part here. Then Judah said to Er's brother, Onan, go and marry Tamar. Go and marry Tamar, as our law requires of the brother of a man who has died. You must produce an heir for your brother. Okay, let's back that up for a second here. As always, I'm reading this for the first time. I'm not looking, there's no agenda. There's no, I'm not trying to discover truly anything out of this, if that's the case. But let's see. In the course of time, Judah arranged for his firstborn son, to marry a young woman named Tamar. Okay, so we know what her name is, Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight. So the Lord took his life. Why did the Lord take his life if he's looking at him as a wicked sight? We've got no reason why the Lord decided to do that. Why? See, this is what gets me about reading the Bible. It seems that the Lord is doing things, and I'm only on Genesis 38 here, is doing things, and we have no understanding of why. So, and I think those are good questions. That's why I'm reading this for the first time, figuring it out. Why did the Lord take And how come Judah's not saying anything? Maybe he is. I mean, obviously, we've only got a small bit of the scriptures here, if I'm saying that right. So there's a lot more to the stories, I'm sure of it. But then Judah said to Er's brother, go and marry Tamar, as our law requires of the brother of a man who has died. So Judah has a law. All right, we'll move on here. But Onan was not willing to have a child who would not be his own heir. So whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he spilled the semen on the ground. This prevented her from having a child who would belong to his brother. Okay, but here's the thing. So Onan is doing that. He is not conceiving with her, but go and marry. Let's back up here. Allah requires the brother of a man who has died, you must produce an heir for your brother. It would still be his son, ultimately, or an heir, his son, daughter, whichever way. It still would be his. So I'm a little, I'll move on here. This prevents her from having a child who would belong to his brother. Okay, so it would belong, the child would belong to his brother. I get that part, but still would still be your brother biologically, All right. But the Lord considered it evil for Onan to deny a child to his dead brother. So the Lord took Onan's life too. Why? Okay. First, the Lord doesn't like Er, and now he doesn't like Onan. I get that reasoning, because he's like, okay, I don't like this, but it seems like the Lord's just taking Judah's sons here. He's only got one left. Moving on. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, go back to your parents' home and remain a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you. But Judah didn't really intend to do this because he was afraid Shelah would also die, like his two brothers. So Tamar went back to live in her father's home. Probably a smart idea. Some years later, Judah's wife died. We don't even know what her name was. So maybe that's why we don't know what her name was, because it's a very short thing. Still seems kind of unfortunate. We don't know what her name is. After the time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went up to Timnah to supervise the shearing of his sheep. Someone told Tamar, look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangements had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance to the village of Enaim. I don't know how to say that. Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute, since she had covered her face. So he stopped and propositioned her. Look at Judah. He's like, you know what? I'm going to have some prostitutes while I'm on the way. Let me have sex with you, he said, not realizing that it was his own daughter-in-law. How much will you pay to have sex with me? Tamar asked. Wow. So Tamar just decided to become a prostitute instantaneously. That seems, we're at Genesis 38, and we've already got prostitution going on here. I don't even know where the rest of this book goes. Wow. Somebody help me out here. That's an interesting thought, actually. Judah, we'll have to go back and remember where Judah came from, because is that one of the descendants of Esau? I've been saying Esau, but I think it was Esau as Esau. So I forget where Judah came from. But, we're in Genesis 38 here, so is this just like a natural human thing that when a man sees a woman, either he takes her and does what the other guy did, Shechem, and end up raping somebody? And many of the other men, though, are, they consummate marriage, they have a covenant, they're sleeping with everybody. Judah here is like open for prostitution, and then also his daughter-in-law is just like, sure, why not? So is that kind of a normal thing? I know we've changed things in a very long time, but okay. So let's kind of move on here. Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, So Shelah had grown up, but no arrangements had been made for her. So she changed her widow's clothing and covered herself. Okay, some years later, Judah's wife died. After time of mourning, Judah and his Abdullah. Okay. Look, your father-in-law is going up to Tamar. Okay, so let's, next page. I'll send you a young goat from my flock, Judah promised. But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send the goat? She asked. What kind of guarantee do you want? He replied. She answered, leave me your identification seal and its cord and the walking stick you are carrying. So Judah gave them to her. Then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Well, afterward, she went back home, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothing as usual. Did Tamar have an ulterior motive here? Because she knows who Judah is. So that's an interesting one. That's what it kind of seems like, actually, because the other two sons died by the Lord, right? And maybe she feels that she needs to have children. I don't really know. Later, Judah asked his friend Hira, the Adulamite, to take the young goat to the woman and pick up the things he had given her as his guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her. So he asked the men who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road at the entrance to Enaim?" I'm going to say Enaim. I don't know that place. "We've never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. So Hira returned to Judah and told him, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claim they've never had a shrine prostitute there." Ooh. "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. "I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her. We'd be the laughingstock of the village if we went back again to look for her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now, because of this, she's pregnant. Bring her out and let her be burned," Judah demanded. Oh. Well, okay, we're burning somebody. And Judah did not like that because, I'm coming back to this thought process here for a minute, but I'm gonna try and remember this. "But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law. 'The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and cord and walking stick are these?' Judah recognized them immediately and said, 'She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah.' And Judah never slept with Tamar again." So is Judah going, that's a little bit hypocritical, right? So Judah doesn't like the fact that she was a prostitute because she was his daughter-in-law. His sons were killed by the Lord, but Judah's okay, buying prostitutes. I don't know about that there, Judah. All right. "When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins." Ooh, she's got twins. Well, good on her. "While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet ring around the child's wrist, announcing, 'This one came out first.' But then he pulled back his hand and out came his brother." Oh, what? The midwife exclaimed. "How did you break out first?" So he was named Perez. Then the baby with the scarlet string on his wrist was born, and he was named Zerah, Zerah. Okay. There's a story here about Judah and Tamar. Very interesting. It's unfortunate. I am wondering what happened with the young son Shelah, though. That is one thing I'm wondering here. But Judah has now two sons. These were two sons, right? Twins? Yeah, two sons, brothers. Perez and Zerah. But Zerah was the one that reached out first. That's an interesting story. So you got this baby that comes out. They put a scarlet, what was that? They said a scarlet, something around the wrist. The page goes there. Scarlet string on his wrist. And then he pulls it back, and then out comes the next one. So he wasn't born first. Whew, that's a little interesting.